Hello, fifth graders. We are looking at our pre-test today, getting ready for that test tomorrow. And so we're going to go over this practice test, and hopefully it'll get you ready for tomorrow when you take that test. All right, so it says arrange these fractions in order from least to greatest. Well, we have a couple clues that we need to look at. So first of all, our denominators are all larger than our numerators. The top number is smaller than the bottom number, or equal to. If it's equal to, then we know that it's one whole one. That's not just a part, but it's a whole one. So I have 5/8, 7/7, 1/3, and 2/4. Well, 7/7 I know is the whole thing. So that's going to be the greatest. That's going to go on the end. 7/7 has to go on the end there. Now I have, if you think about a half is, the top is double the bottom. Or the bottom is double the top, sorry. So 4/8 would be half. 1/3, we would have 1.5 would be half. Here 2/4 is a half. So I have, is 5/8 bigger than that half? If I had 4/8 is a half, well, 5/8 would be bigger than a half, and then I have 2/4, which is equal to 1/2, and then I have that 1/3. So if I think of it in picture form, let's look at it in picture form, just to kind of help you think that through. Okay, so if we made rectangles the exact same size, all right, and we know this is 1/2, so we can kind of think of it as 1/2. But let's put these two together. 1/3. So we're going to break this into 3 equal parts. All right. So we have 1/3. And then I have 5/8. So we're going to try and break that into equal parts. Let's do 4. There's 4 on that. No, that's 3 on that side. 3, 4. This is why it's hard to think of it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We still need 2 more. So we'd have to kind of put those 2 in there, and that doesn't work too well. So I'm going to cross this out because that's not going to help you if you're going to have if you can't make those straight like that. So probably circles might work better if we're going to do that. We could do circles, right? Because we could cut it into 4 and then cut it into 2 again, like that, and we have 8 pieces, and those are pretty equal to each other. And then we've got that third thing going on where we kind of make the peace sign, and then we have that 2/4. I'll put that over here. I made a mess of the test now. I don't like that, but all right. So I have 2 halves, or 2/4, 2/4, 1/3, and then 5/8. Here's 4, and 1 more is 5. All right. So if I look at that picture, which one has the most after that 7/7? That 5/8 has more than the third, and it has more than the 2/4. So we'd have that 5/8 next. I'm going to put this up here. 7/7, 5/8. Then we have which one has more. If you look, you have the 2/4 has more than the 1/3. So we'd have 2/4 here and 1/3 here. 2/3, 1/3, 2/4, 5/8. And then 7/7. Okay. Picture form can work. You can also think of that and in a in decimals. If you want to make them into decimals, you could do that to try and figure it out. But if you can kind of think logically or draw pictures, that's going to help you. Okay. Okay, that one was a mess. I didn't mean to do it that way, but that's just how it turned out. So let's go on to number 2. Write the fraction 11/4 as a mixed number. Okay, 11/4 is a mixed number, so I take 11, the top number, and I divide it by the bottom number. Alright, so how many 4s can I get out of 11? 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract. You have 3 left over. So we have 2 and 3/4. Remember, you take the remainder. That becomes your top number. Your denominator is the bottom number there. So we have 2 and 3/4. Alright, then we have 3 feet equals 1 yard. 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. 2 miles equals how many feet? Okay, well, there's a lot of information here. But we talked about how many feet are in a mile, and we said that there's 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Everybody ate and 0 went away hungry. So there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay. Then we said we had 2 miles here in the problem. All right, Barkley, you can't step on my computer. Come on, guy. Come on. My cat is wanting to play. All right. You probably see him walking across there. Okay. Okay. 5,280, 5,280. Add them together to get those 2 miles. 0, 16, carry my 1. 2 and 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. And then 5 and 5 is 10. 10,560 feet. 10,560 feet. Okay. All right, number 4. Use digits to write the decimal 8 and 4/100ths. And is the word decimal. Okay, so decimal point there. What's before it? The number 8. 4/100ths. Hundredths. Hundredths tells me that there's 2 places after the decimal, the tenths and the hundredths. I have 4/100ths, so I have 4 in the hundredths column, but I have nothing in the tenths column. So to write that in digits, we would have 8.04. 8.04. All right, which digit in that number is in the tenths place? Well, the tenths, THS, means it's part of a whole, so it has to either be this one or this one. And the tenths comes right after the decimal point. This is like dimes. Dimes are worth 10 pennies. We have 100 of them in $1, so that's the hundredths column. So the number in the tenths place would be 4. All right, we're adding up these numbers for 6. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 1 more is 11, carry my 1. 9 and 1 is 10, 0 goes down, my 1 goes up, put my decimal point there. 3 and 1 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. 5.04, or 5 and 1/100ths. All right, next column. Name the shaded part of this square as a fraction of the decimal and as a percent. So we start out with the fraction. We know this is 100 square, so we put 100 on the bottom. Then we can count them by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 1 more gives me 71/100ths. As a decimal, because this is already in the 100th idea, we have our decimal point and then 71. As a percent, we move our decimal point over 2 to get our percent, so that would be 71%. So 71/100ths, 71/100ths, and then 71%. So that 0.71 there. Okay? All right, rounding to the nearest 100. Rounding to the nearest 100. So when I look at this one here, rounding to the nearest hundred, I want to see if that stays the same or does it bounce up one. So it's somewhere between 3,700 and 3,800 because it's the 100 number that we want to change or not change. So we look at the 2. It's less than halfway, so that 7 is going to stay where it's at. 3,721 is closer to 3,700. 3,700. When you're looking at this part, if you're rounding to the nearest 100 here, just think, is 21 more or less than halfway? It's less than halfway, so that 37 is going to stay the same. If it's more than halfway, if it's like 50 or 51, then it's going to round up to the 38 and be 3,800. Okay? So you can kind of think of it in that terms. Remember, too weak to pump up. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, they're stronger, they can bump them up. Okay? Compare these two numbers. First we start with what's before the decimal point. It's exactly the same. What's after the decimal point? The 5 and the 5. That's exactly the same. These zeros change nothing about the number. They still have 0 dime or 0 hundredths, 0 thousandths. This has 0 hundredths, 0 thousandths, so that's going to be equal to each other. There's no change in that. They're equal to each other. Barkley, come on. All right, buddy, you gotta get off the papers. Okay. No, you can't. You're messing up my video, dude. Guys, that is Barkley, who doesn't want you to finish going over your homework right now. All right, Barkley. All right. Divide 891 by 40 and write the quotient as a mixed number. Okay, so we have 891 divided by 40. You gonna help me with this? Okay. How many 40s can we get out of 89? We can get 2. 2 times 40 is 80. We subtract, we have 9. Bring down our 1. How many 40s can we get out of 91? Again, we can get 2. 2 times 40 is 80. Sister subtract, we have 11 left over. So 22 with a remainder of 11, but they want it as a mixed number. So even though we have 22 with a remainder of 11, we need to write it 22 and 11 40ths. The 11 coming from my remainder, the 40 coming from who's knocking at the door. Okay? All right. Next one. We have 93 cents, 72 cents, and $2.54. So we're going to take and we're going to add the 93 cents and the 72 cents. $0 on either one of those. 4 and 3 is 7, and 2 more is 9. 9 and 5 is 14, and 7 more is 21. Decimal point in there. 2 plus 2 is 4, so we have $4.19. $4.19. Okay? All right, back to number 12. Number 12, we're going to subtract 79 cents from $2.28. So we have $2.28. We put that 79 cents over here because we have no dollars. All right, more on the floor, so we go next door. We take 1 away, and this becomes the 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 1 minus 7, can't do it. More on the floor, go next door. Cross out that 2, make it a 1. Now we have 10 that we add to the 1 we already have. 11 minus 7 is 4. Decimal point, 1 minus 0 is 1. $1.49. $1.49. Okay, in this subtraction problem, I'm going to put those markers there to say, hey, there's nothing there, but it's easier to have zeros there. 8 minus 0 is 8. 0 minus 0 is 0. Can't do 6, so we go more on the floor, so we go next door. cross it out. This becomes a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. Put my decimal point in. 2 minus 2 is 0. You can put the 0 there if you want to. You don't have to, though. Okay? All right. So we have 0.608. You could double check your work. 8 and nothing is 8. Nothing and nothing is nothing. 6 and 6 is 12. Carry my 1. 1 and 2 is 3. All right. Number 14. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry my 2. My 1 goes down. 7 times 9 is 63. Plus 2 more is 65. Carry my 6. 7 times 0 is 0. Plus 6 is 6. 2 numbers behind a decimal point. 2 numbers behind the decimal point. $sign $6.51. All right, so this one says do me first. It's in parentheses. Always do parentheses before the other parts, unless there's a thing like a exponent or square root. So let's look at this. 4 minus 2 is 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. The 11 stays the same. Now, I can't do 8 minus 2 because I have 2 11ths, something minus 2 11ths. I need to have something 11 here. So I'm going to change this 8 to 7 and 11 11ths. It's the same as 8. So we have 7 minus 2 equals 5. 11 minus 2 equals 9. The 11 stays the same, so we have 5 and 9 11ths. All right. So you see what I did here? I changed the 8 to 7 and 11 11ths so that I could have a fraction minus a fraction. You don't need to do that with addition, but you do need to do that with subtraction. 4 plus 3 is 7. 2 plus 3 is 5 over 5. So that's better known as 8. Okay? All right, you have a segment here. MN is 30 millimeters. The segment NO is 30 millimeters. Find out the length of MO, the whole thing, in centimeters. All right, so we have 30 millimeters plus 30 millimeters, which gives me 60 millimeters, but that equals how many centimeters? So if you remember on your ruler, you looked at it and every centimeter was 10 millimeters. So 60 millimeters, I take off that 0 on there and I get 6 centimeters. 6 centimeters. Okay? All right, number 18. Draw a parallelogram that is not a rectangle. A parallelogram, remember, has 2 equal sides this way and 2 equal sides that way. Well, how am I supposed to draw it that it's not a rectangle? Well, I can slant them on one side and then draw the lines that way, and that's not a rectangle. You can't draw a square because a square is technically a rectangle because it has 4 right-angled corners. This does not have 4 right-angled corners, but it has that parallel sides. Okay? There are other options, but that's one of them. A rectangular room is 6 yards long and 4 yards wide. Use this information to answer 19 and 20. What is the perimeter of the room? The perimeter is that outer fence, the protection around it. So we're going to add up the outside fences. 6 and 4 is 10. 6 and 4 is 10, so that's 20 yards. All right. What is the area of the room? The area is what's inside. Now it says it's 4 yards, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 yards there. There's 6 yards here, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the area. What's inside? How much lawn do I have? And so when we think about that, we're taking the 6 times the 4, because area is the length times the width. So length times width is 6 times 4, which equals 24. 24 yards squared, or you could do 24 square yards. Okay, so we want to have that square in there somehow. The perimeter is not squared, but the area is squared. Okay, that's your practice test for today. Hopefully all of that makes sense, and good luck on your test tomorrow. I miss you guys, and welcome Barkley to our classroom. The differences from doing our test from home.